Okay, quick test of the radio gear, make sure everything works before I install it. I've got a red light, that's a good sign. Okay, yeah, look at that, it's all working. Elevator, ailerons working opposite, are they? You don't know this, but I've been working on the Tiger Moth for the last 10 days, so I haven't touched this, so it's nice to be back on it. And hopefully you're watching this. It's Thursday today, and I usually edit on a Thursday, and I haven't even filmed yet. So, okay, let's just change that. Get it out of the way. So I need to put a hole for the cable just about there. If you remember, I said in the last video I've got to build a little box around here, just some little bit of simple balsa just to attach the tissue to. So I'll glue that in. I'll also get the elevator servo in, which sends its push rod down the boom. So that will go in there. But I just want to fiddle with the horn before I screw it in, pick a better horn than this. And I'm going to actually epoxy them in. Like that. It's worth having a different selection of pegs, different makes. Some are stronger, some open wider, some are flatter. Boom fits there. That's why I had to leave a bit of a gap. And the push rod will come out of there into the groove here, down the length of the boom and out there. If that doesn't work, it'll just have to come down the outside, but I've got to come along, bend it in, along and bend it out again. That's the sort of plan, so we'll see if it works, but at least there is a plan B. Right, we'll let those set and come back to it, and then just have one last evaluation and then think about tissuing it up. I'm going to tissue the bottom of the wing, but not this section because there's nothing here, but not this section because this section is going to be where I glue in the main spar, and I'll glue that in afterwards. So just this section, and I've got a bit of tissue cut. I'm not going to damp it because I don't want the tissue tightening out before I've got the top surface on. But there's a couple of wrinkles in it which I'm going to have to try and sort of pull out, do my best. I've mixed up some PVA. I might have mixed it a little bit watery, but we'll see. And I'm just going to put it around the edges. I'll do the whole wingtip. Put it around the edges, and the observant amongst you will notice I'm not using my finger. Just pull it as tight as I can before it's stuck too much, if it's going to stick, that is. Just to remind you, if you're new to tissuing, we don't put glue on the ribs because we want it to stretch evenly. Now see that hole there? That's designed for that horn to go down into the hole, so now I can lay the wing flat to work on it. And there we are. So what I'm going to do is spray it with water and it will tighten out, and once it's tightened out it'll still be nice and porous. Then I can just touch in around that servo. I mean, I could just put a slit in it and leave the tissue there actually, and then if I ever need to access the servo I can remove the panel. That's not a bad idea. So I'll just open that slit up a little bit, and this bit here, when I glued the wing into the fuselage, I can then tissue this section afterwards. Right, that's the bottom done. I'm now going to do the top. I think I might do this bit separately because of the angle. When I tighten it, it's going to pull off this rib, so if it's glued down and around the side, it can't pull off. And it's surprising how much strength tissue in a wing puts on it. Turns it from a sort of a flimsy structure into something that's quite well resistant to twisting, really. Right, let's just do the edges. Right, and I'll refine the holes from the aileron, and then once I've got the holes, I'll cover the aileron and transfer the holes back to the aileron from the wing. Okay, there we have it. I think it's going to shrink out beautifully. Right, we'll give that a minute to dry, and then when it has dried, I'll spray it with water, and we'll leave it for a few minutes, see how it comes out, to stop dope sticking to it. But I like using these sticks, which I've made. Use these, they're all the same size. Right, now I'm just going to spray it with water. Like that. And it's quite damp and it's gone saggy, so I've got to be very careful with it underneath the wing. And it's complicated by that control horn. Find out where it is. There. Put that under there. That under there, and then a little one under there. Now, by weighing it down, will keep it flat and help to prevent warps. Okay, let's let it dry out for half an hour and see what we've got. Right, a bit more progress, guys. I've just sprayed the wings with clear lacquer, matte lacquer, and went saggy and it's tightened out again. Maybe needs a little bit more on there. I've also decided to spray the nose, well, paint the nose in this rather flashy nose. I painted enamel straight onto the tissue and it wasn't very good, so I gave it a second coat and it was pretty bad. So using thinners, I've got it all off again, gave it a sand and just given it 2 coats of filler primer, which I should have done all along. I'll give that a sand in a minute and I'll try the yellow again, but I'll stand a better chance this time. But it's just masking tape, just stripped up into thin strips on the glass and carefully bent around, but whether it's going to bleed under or what with all the work I've done on it, I don't know. But we'll I'll try. I'll sand it. I might give it one more coat of grey actually, and then we'll be making excellent progress. Be time for assembly soon. Oh, I've got to spray the ailerons. Forgot to do those. They're yellow, as you can see. They're going to look quite smart, I think. Yeah. So I've got yellow fins, yellow on the nose, yellow on the wings. I've painted the nose now. It's a bit streaky, could do with a second coat. But if I put a second coat on, I won't be able to glue the wings on. So if I glue the wings on and leave this accessible, I might be able to do a second coat later. So let's just, we'll want to crack on with this. Let's just leave that clear then for the leading edge of the wing. Before I can glue the booms on, I have to glue the wings on. And before I glue the wings on, I have to pull the cable in through fuselage into where I'm going to put the receiver. I mean, I can epoxy the trailing edge in. I can epoxy or run some CA in on those leading edge spars where they join the former. Add a bit of epoxy as well. Epoxy the carbon main spar to the ribs. Looks pretty evil, doesn't it? All in black. And maybe put some CA on these bits here so that it wicks down, because it's only joining it to balsa to tissue really, so it's not going to be a huge strength thing there. Right, I'll just pause Bob Flyman there a minute. So what I've done, I took the wings out again because I could see balsa on the inside of the end rib there, so I've blackened it in, and also while it was out I blackened inside the intake, so as when you look in it's all nice and black instead of balsa wood. To assemble it made it a bit easier. I actually CA'd in the main spar and the ribs on this side and just pull them across on this side. Oh, I've also fitted the ailerons as well, so, and put the horns on so I can connect those up now. I think to start I'll just put a little drop around the main spar. Both sides. A little bit on the end one. Too much, put a bit of surplus on that. There's also the spar that pegs into there, which I'm just going to try and run some CA in because I don't think I can get in there otherwise. So I'm just hopefully just going to run some CA down there. So it's just, I'm going to use a pin here because it's a bit tight. A bit there. And a bit on the opposite side. And I've got a spar, leading edge spar, I can run some CA in. Let's put that on there. Just wipe off that surplus. And cut this a little bit on the tight side. I'm hoping that I can sort of get away with it. Yeah, I think I'll just get away with it. Right, it's all going to plan. Let's just wipe off the surplus there. What I'll do, I'll let this set a little bit and then I'll trim around the leading and trailing edge. And then we'll be good to tighten it up with water and clear lacquer. So this is what I've stretched the wings out with initially. Alright, let's cut another bit of tissue out and get that on, and then when I'm ready to glue the booms on, I'll come back to you. I'd glue the fins to the tailplane. I think that's a good way forward. So I've just sanded them. I've glued this one on, just CA'd. Now I've got this one lined up on the line, and I'm just going to drop. Just put that on there. Okay, not too bad. At least that's one thing less now to have to try and line up. Let's just have a look at that tissue. It's been a few minutes. Oh, it's tightened out nice. What I think I might do is to spray on some matte lacquer to protect it and bring the colour down, and we'll be good to finally glue on the tail booms. Just put some lacquer on the bottom bits, guys, so that's tightening out now. That one's on the way, that one's on the way too. I just thought I'd remove the masking tape around the yellow. It's such a pleasant job, isn't it? Especially when it hasn't bled under. Really sharp. Ooh, little bleed there. That's the worst bit, which it is. I can live with that. There we are. That looks spectacular, doesn't it? Let's put the cockpit on. Ready to put the radio gear in a minute as well. Wow, look at that. I mean, it's not perfect by a long shot, but it's the best I can do. And I've learnt quite a bit doing it as well. Obviously that wing's heavier, look, because it's got the extra servo in. But one of the booms was heavier than the other, so I put the heavier one on the left hand side, I hope. Let's check. Right, the port boom, so it's just a shade under 5 grams, so hopefully the starboard boom is lighter, 4.5, so yeah, it's half a gram, so at least it's some way toward. I mean, if it's really out, I'm going to have to weigh this side down a little bit. But overall, so far, with 3 servos and the motor, it's 58 grams. That's not too bad. So it's about an ounce heavier than, well, 30 grams heavier than the model it came out of. But it has got more wing area, which will help to take that weight. And the other plane was flying around quite nicely on half throttle, so hopefully it'll fly around. If it won't fly on full throttle, then I've got a problem. There we are, it's tightening out beautifully now. I have sprayed it black actually, satin black, very light coat, just to bring everything together. Well, the booms glued directly onto, upside down, glued directly onto the ribs, or in this case directly onto the cover bin really. That's the wrong side. Like that. The boom goes just up the side, on this side of the servo arm. Oh wow, this is the first time it's all gone together. That looks pretty true, thank goodness, because there's not a lot of adjustment in it. So really all I've got to do is to glue the fins into the booms, glue the booms onto the fuselage. I think I'll glue the fins into the boom first, but I also want to consider the push rod. I think I can put that in afterwards anyway. I've left the elevator horn off for the minute because I want to possibly put that in at the same time. So I think what I'll do is to glue the fins into the booms, and then I can just glue the booms onto the fuselage. Sort that out now, guys, so we'll let that dry, and then later on we can move on to the wings. Okay. Doesn't weigh much now, actually. Now it's sort of in my hand. That seems very accurate. Don't sound so surprised, Cliff. I am surprised. I don't see any reason why I can't just glue that right on now, as long as it's right over the ribs. And I'm going to use white glue, I think. What I'll do, I'll put it on there, and I'll use a little stick, I think, just to spread it out a little bit. What I want to do is try and get it lined up pretty much straight away. Looks alright from the top. Let's have a look at the bottom. It's a bit tight there. Let's move it across a little bit. Okay. That went okay, actually. Just wipe that. 98, I would say. 98 grams. Quite weighty. I was hoping it wouldn't be quite as heavy as that, but I suppose I could have made it a little bit lighter here and there, but there it is. One Vampire almost ready to go. So thanks for following along, guys. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you want to witness the maiden flight, and we'll see how it goes. Really happy with the way it's gone together. Actually, it's been a fun project, and it probably won't be my last mini jet, because it's been most satisfying. Hope you like the colour scheme. It sort of just grew. Quite pleased with the front in the end. It's come out okay. And thanks to Nick, Barron Flights, the Barron Flights, 2Rs, for moulding me a canopy. That looks really nice. So we'll give it a go. How long we'll have to wait, I don't know. It's going to be dependent on the weather. I don't want it to be too windy, of course. But it's going to be fun to launch. I think it's going to have to be sort of like that. Sort of, I don't know. Maybe like that. Right, guys, thanks for watching.